the Catalan pro-independence movement, it's been there for so long, for centuries, and our message to you and your viewers will be that this is not a recent event. Since the events of 2017 referendum that was internationally known due to the police brutality applied against voters, people believe that this is something recent, that it's been happening just for a few years, but it's a long history of European nations here in Europe. And we go so far as the 17th century, where there was the Reapers' War here in Catalonia, which was an uprising against authorities, Spanish authorities, due to the war and all the violations committed here. And well, there was a similar uprising at the same time in Portugal, and the Spanish military had to decide where to go, and they decided to go and act in Catalonia, militarily speaking, and not in Portugal. And that's why now Portugal is an independent state and Catalonia is not. And throughout history, you can find many other examples. When Napoleon invaded Spain, they split Catalonia from the rest of Spain and was declared a Catalan Republic depending on the French Empire. And even in the 20th century, there were two declarations of independence in 1931 and 1934, both of them repressed again by Spanish authorities. So the 2017 referendum, just the last step of a long series of events here in Catalonia in which the Catalan people has struggled to gain independence. I would like to mention that, as you are the Dutch media, that there are some similarities here, as the Netherlands were part of the Spanish crown centuries ago. And also they fought for independence due to military intervention, high taxation, and political struggle. And it's not a different case here in Catalonia. It's just that the outcome was not the best for us, of course. That's why we're here talking about that. But I want you to understand that colonialism and imperialism to set borders in between nations, it's not something that happened in other continents. It's something that also happened here in Europe. And finally, I would like to mention that the Catalan independence movement had some strong links with Latin American independence movements, because, for example, in Cuba, one of the founding members of modern Cuba was Josep Martí, who was a Catalan, and you can see the similarities in between the flags. If you see the flag of Cuba and the independence, the Catalan independence flag, Estelada, they are quite similar. That's because the pro-independence movements in both nations were connected, and there were people who were working in both of them. So that's something more historical view, but I thought it's worth mentioning that the independence movement in Catalonia has had repercussions beyond the borders here. Of course, there is plurality here, and many people think different things on why and how to achieve independence. I believe that there are like three main reasons to summarize. The first one being political reasons, in terms of having a constant political struggle in between the Catalan government and the Spanish government. That not only comprises policies or laws which are approved in order to pursue independence. There are other laws approved by the Catalan Parliament, like a law to support families to have cheap energy in their households during times of crisis, or another law to limit the prices of rentals, which are skyrocketing here in Barcelona and Catalonia, and for young people to get access to a living way. And these laws, among others, were deemed unconstitutional by the Spanish Constitutional Court. And this is just two examples on why, despite having on paper an autonomy, the reality is that we don't have a political independence, and all the laws are being controlled. All the laws approved in Catalonia, in the Catalonia Parliament, are being controlled in Madrid, And of course, being a region that has its own identity and wants to pursue its own political goals, well, that's not acceptable for many people. Secondly, I will mention economic reasons. Catalonia has been historically one of the wealthiest, if not the wealthiest region in Spain, was the first that will become industrialized, and there are lots of factories. It's a powerhouse in terms of tourism, also in terms of research, and well, it's a well-known region, not only in Europe but around the world. And of course, that means that as a rich region, we pay lots of taxes to the central government. And most people, including me, would believe that yes, we agree that we must pay taxes to poorer regions to help them develop, to improve their economy and job opportunities for people living there. But it's also true that we have no control at all on what we're paying. Actually, we don't know what we're paying. For years, even before the strong Catalan independence movement started, we were requesting to the Spanish authorities, hey, how much we are paying? We would like to talk about that. And the Spanish government also always denied any opportunity to publish real figures about which are the amounts being paid, which is not fair because most countries in Europe don't function this way. Also, and trying to summarize, there is a lack of investment here in Catalonia. Despite being a powerhouse, despite being an important region, there is a serious lack of investment in public infrastructure and other fields which are not deemed relevant for us by Spanish authorities. And I will mention just one of them. The European Union deemed that the project called the Mediterranean Corridor, or train track, was vital for Southern Europe economy, especially in Spain, of course, which is just a train track going all the way through the shores of the eastern Spain, Valencia, Catalonia, through France to Germany, in order to export goods shipping from ports like Barcelona to other parts of Europe. Despite the European Union deeming this project as relevant and actually having some funds directed to this project, the Spanish authorities for years denied any possibility to move on this project. And actually, when finally they showed some interest, magically this Mediterranean corridor was passing through Madrid, which is in the middle of the peninsula, which honestly makes no sense. So overall, we believe that an independent Catalonia will be more wealthy, more fair, and with more possibilities to improve our economy and job opportunities for people living here. Finally, for ending, sorry that I took so long answering this question, there will be cultural and linguistic reasons. And of course, Catalonia has its own identity that we will talk later, our own language. To summarize, we live in a state in Spain that throughout centuries, under different governments, being dictatorships, republics, or democracies, had different ways to approach the same strategy, which is to unify the whole country under one banner, one language, and one identity, meaning in the disappearing of minorities like us, not only us, because there's also the Basque country, the Basque people, the Galician people, and many others here in Spain. It's a really diverse country, but it will be denying reality that not all Spaniards, of course not, but a majority of the Spaniards support political parties that follow a strategy to turn us into a lesser minority, for us to have a lesser role, and for us to finally disappear and just adopt the majority identity shared here in Spain. And we believe that that's not acceptable if we want to maintain our identity. We don't believe we are better than them, we don't hate them, we just want to become one more nation in a free Europe and to work together in equality terms for a better future for us all. We are hopeful that the European Union, among other international organizations, can develop an important role for minorities, not only in Europe but all around the world, to be able to perform their political goals and to perform their human rights without problems. Specifically, in the case of the European Union, we believe that they must deploy the necessary mechanisms for human rights to be respected within the European Union, but also the necessary mechanisms for member states like Spain to show accountability when they violate human rights of its citizens, especially about its minorities. We believe that the best tool to do so will be the application of Article 7 of the Treaty of the European Union. That has been already applied to Poland and Hungary. We don't understand why Poland and Hungary, which have been threatening the principal values of the European Union and also violating some human rights of political dissidents, are facing the fines and other punishments implied by this Article 7, but the Spain doesn't. While the Council of Europe or United Nations are publicly stating that human rights are being violated here. So in reality, what's happening here is that we are creating a double standard in which some states can do so, can just threaten democracy values and human rights, and others can't. And again, this is diminishing the quality of our democracy as Europeans. And we believe that this article and other accountability must be applied to Spain as well.